Hey everyone, Sam here. I want to do a really in-depth guide into the differences between what I think you can do with ChatGPT or advanced data analysis within ChatGPT, and then compare that to what you can do in Power BI specifically. I think that there is a really solid case for using both. I really do. I know that there is a lot of challenges potentially, like if you're in an enterprise or organization with like data security with ChatGPT. So I totally get that, and that's a big reason why it's in no ways like enterprise ready. But in terms of just exploring your data, I think it's a phenomenal tool. I really do, and it can really augment what you're doing in Power BI a substantial amount. And I wanted to showcase some of the ways that I'm doing it and how I think you can do it. And I don't think there's any like one way that you can do this. And there certainly is some inherent issues with advanced data analysis, because sometimes it's not always right. So you always got to bring critical thinking. You've always got to just double check things, particularly when things get more advanced. So when you start asking more advanced questions. So yeah, that's what I thought I would do today. And I actually did do a recording before, but then realized that my microphone was on mute the whole time, so that was annoying. But, so some of this has already like been created. I was actually creating it live while I was recording. But in any case, let's just review what I did, and then we can maybe extend it. Why don't we do that? So you can skip some of the more beginner stuff. So I created this data set inside of ChatGPT. Now, one thing, ChatGPT is amazing at creating data sets. Anytime I want to go and practice anything now, I just ask ChatGPT to create the data set for me. It's as simple as that. And it can create data sets on absolutely anything. It's mind blowing. So this was the data set that we created, right? And I asked for it in a CSV file. If we just go over it quickly, we've got the date. So it's a transportation data set. So date, the route, the bus, the driver, start time, end time, total passengers, distance traveled, stops, on-time performance, weather conditions, fuel. Okay, so really solid data set, and I think it was 10,000 rows long. The new way that they've set up advanced data analysis in here tells me a few things. One, it's far better than what it was, far better, and it tells me that they're really going to invest heavily in analyzing data and trying to automate that. And I think the future is so exciting. It is so exciting, the future of just data analysis in general, but the ability to augment it with great tools. No tool is perfect though. Like no tool is perfect, but augmenting what we're doing, I think it is mind-blowingly good, right? And I wouldn't even say it detracts at all from what we might do inside of Power BI. I really don't. Or any other visualization tool that you might use, right? Like I just think it adds. I really do. I think it completely adds, and it just makes you better. It makes you more productive. So that's how I use it. That's how I approach it. I always approach things with a very critical mindset, and I highly recommend that as well. Just never take anything as a given. That is the same. You could have said that. I could have said that for the last decade. You always need to bring your critical thinking to any analysis you see, whether it's created by AI or created by someone else. That is always going to be true. And just accept that sometimes things can be wrong, right? Don't expect perfection from anyone. Just always bring some critical thinking. Okay, so I created the data set and I downloaded it in a CSV file. I got it into my Power BI model as I normally would. I created my dates table the normal way I do, using the dates query, and I got the dates query from the Analyst Hub, one of our tools at Enterprise DNA. So I just copied the code in, boom, 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 done, like as quickly as that. One of the things I normally do now, though, is I usually have a template set up. I didn't actually use it in this case, but usually I do, that has my date table, has all the columns sorted correctly, formatted correctly. One thing about this date table, it's really long. And so, most of the time I don't even use half these things. So sometimes I delete them, sometimes I hide them. So I probably will do that next time, but just for this one, I didn't. Okay, so let's just go through data analysis quickly and see what we could do. Okay, so I asked I love how they've separated it here. So you've got the data, and here you've got questions that you can ask, right? So it's not just like one big chat window. And I think that's a really, really solid evolution. How many trips? Total number of trips was 10,000. So 10,000, there was 10,000 rows. It just did that calculation for me. One of the things it does now is it actually hides the code as well, which I think is great. Like, it didn't used to do that, and I think hiding the code is great. Much smarter way to do things. You can show details if you want, but I think hiding them is a lot cleaner. It's a much cleaner UI. So how many passengers per month can you show me in a column chart? That's what I asked. And then I got this chart. They are making the charts more dynamic, and the visualizations are a lot better than they were. So that's really positive. Before, they were just static images, static Python images, but now it looks like they're turning them into more dynamic charts, which I think is a sign of for the future. I really do. I wouldn't be surprised if this continues to improve, which is good. And they've got these other features which I like you can change colors and a whole range of things. I mean, it's pretty simple stuff right now. So it's absolutely nothing close to what you can get in here. Obviously, let's just change this a little bit. Yeah, I mean, you can just, I mean, you can, doesn't even compare currently. It literally doesn't even compare to what you can do inside of Power BI from a visualization perspective. But it's quick, right? Like, all of these things were done very, very quickly. And one of the other things I've just noticed is they're actually recommending next questions, which is great. Something they didn't used to do before inside of here, but now it reads the data and then it just recommends the next question. So it's helping you with that exploration of your data, which is truly great. Compare passenger counts on sunny versus rainy days, and then it gave me this visualization here. Okay, I was not accepting none of this at first glance. I was double checking everything, right? So double check this one in the visualization over here. So rainy versus sunny, and 120, that's the 126 there. 126,658. 126,658. Yeah. Okay. So the numbers look correct. One of the big differences I discovered within here is that you can, if you use Power BI effectively, you can actually analyze a lot more quicker, which is surprising, right? It's really surprising. The reason is that everything in here you can and this is what I did. Okay, so I started off with one visualization like this. Okay, I had all my core measures, like you see here, my core measures at the top. I had all these set up. I set them all up. It's so much easier here still to go like this, to see visualizations by just copying and pasting. Like, this is how I've always done it. And to create all of these things inside of, say, advanced data analysis, you've got to ask one by one, right? You've got to ask these things one by one. And so that is actually a lot slower, surprisingly. It's a lot slower than doing things like this. One of the great things about combining, though, is that this can give you a lot of good ideas. It can give you a lot of great ideas for work that you can quickly do inside of Power BI, which I think is the best way to use it. Okay, so here we've got average fuel consumption per month. Now, when I did this one, I was like, wow, okay, these numbers are quite weird. They're quite low. And then I realized, okay, it's actually calculating the average fuel per trip. The average fuel per trip in each month. Okay, but it's actually not that clear. It's not that clear when you look at it like this. And so what I did was I had to look inside the code. This is one of the emerging things that I've found, is that you absolutely don't need to know how to write code out from scratch anymore, particularly with Python. But you do need to understand it. That is the key now. Is just understanding the code. Okay, so the key thing that is going on here is right here. Okay, so what is it grouping it by? So it's grouping it by month and year. Okay, and it's grouping it by the trip, I believe. Okay, still not actually that clear, like, if I'm being completely honest. Okay, so one of the things that and this is something that I honestly am doing now a lot, particularly with this, is I'm using our tool called Data Mentor. You can use it in here, but I don't like to ask non-analytical questions in there. So what I do is I come in here and I use some of our AI tools like Code Explainer. Okay, so I copy that code inside of here. I mean, you could open up another ChatGPT window, absolutely. Okay. And then, but this gives you me like a really detailed description of what's going on. So the provided code snippet performs the following tasks. It groups data by month and year and calculates the average fuel consumption, plots the calculated average fuel, displays the resulting grouped data. Okay. And it gives me step by step. So it groups the data frame. So, and this is also my point, right? Is that I don't think you need to know how to write any of this out. I just think you need to understand it. And if you need assistance in understanding it, this is a great way to do it, right? You can do this in any AI tool. It's just like get a description, get some details. I guess what we've done is we've just like pre-prompted and got this all set up for you. So you just like copy and paste, and then you get a really detailed description. So it calculates the mean average of the fuel consumption, resets the index. Okay. This step results in a data frame where each row contains a month and year and the average and the corresponding average fuel consumption for that month. Okay. Cool. Okay. So that gives me a little bit more detail there, and we could very easily recreate that inside of Power BI as well. Okay, let's keep going on. So we could do the same here for, here's the comparison of average fuel on sunny or rainy days. It's basically exactly the same. Average length of bus routes per trip. So the average length of a bus route per trip is 27 kilometers. And one of the things that this is cool. What I love about this is, check out this. You can get it read to you. This is one thing that I'm seriously excited about, is the ability to talk to your data. So maybe I see this happening. I see I think a very big trend we might see is we might be talking to our data more than we might be visualizing in a lot of cases, because we might get it ad hoc. We might get it in a more generative way. I don't think it takes away from the visualization aspect. I still think this is going to be totally relevant, but I think a new way of analysis might be emerging slowly, but potentially. Okay. And I honestly would not mind talking to my data. Like I would enjoy that. It might, I think that it will just be one element of ways that we analyze. I really do. And how can you think that that's a bad thing if you can just like dive into data so quickly, right? Just dive into insights. If you need to go and build a report or visualization, fine, that's going to be great. But just the amount of time we'll be able to really spend understanding and getting a good intuitive feel around our data is just going to be democratized like crazy, which is very, very exciting. Okay, so then I asked something a little bit different. I said, can you show me per bus route the range of distance on average traveled as a box and whisker chart? Okay, so what this is, I want to see the high, the low, and the range, right? This is obviously too busy. There's too many bus routes, right? It's too many bus routes. I mean, we can double check how many bus routes there are here by going. Let's double check this number inside of Power BI. So total bus routes. Okay, we can just go to distinct count and type in routes ID. Copy this down. So there's 100. Okay, so 100 different bus routes. So that's not that helpful, right? Because there's just too many. So I realized that, and I said, okay, can you only show me the top 10 by passengers? Okay, so I only want to see the top 10 by passengers. So it's got to do a lot more calculations, right? This type of analysis to get this sort of detail inside of even Power BI to this day is quite hard. Like what it did was smart, right? What it did was quite smart, and it did it quite quickly. Like creating this visualization in Power BI is hard, like very hard actually. And then getting all these individual calculations, very difficult inside of Power BI. We could show the data. We could show it, but it would take us a while. It honestly would. So what can we do? And we need to check this as well, by the way. I haven't actually checked this. So let's actually do that. So top 10 routes by passenger count. Okay, so this looks quite a low to me. So let's check it. Let's actually even check this is right. But I think there's a massive case for this actually being wrong. So let's do that. Okay, so we don't want to summarize this. Okay, and we want total passengers. Yeah, okay. I wonder what it's actually done here. Let's look at the code. So is it calculated the average, has it? Let's just say, so total routes by passenger. Filter the data by the, interesting. I don't know what data that is. Count. Is that how many trips? Maybe that's how many trips it did. Let's just double check this. Okay, so total trips. Interesting. I think that looks closer. Maybe it's actually showing us the amount of trips it did. This is where we need to do some critical thinking, right? So, okay, so this is not actually in order. So let's try find the lowest one. So 106, route 9. Okay, 106 right now. Yeah. Okay. So that is it. That is it. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. Okay. So this is things we need to be checking, right? We need to be checking. So to me, it actually probably is correct. So 29 is the highest. 29 and 96. Okay, let's have a look. 29 and 96. 29 and 96. Okay, so it's definitely there. One thing that would be probably better is, can you rank these the top 10 bus routes? Can you place the top 10 bus routes in order? Passenger numbers. Okay, let's just see if it comes back and actually gives me them in order. Then it'll be easier for us to compare. And then what we would do in Power BI is probably go min and max and just double check the min and maxes. These are a little bit harder, standard deviation, 20, 20, 50, 75. It's doable, but it's just going to take some time. One of the things I'll say about the advanced data analysis is recently it's got a lot quicker as well. A lot quicker. So I think that's a positive too. One of the scary things is when they actually turn this on automatically, where you don't even need to prompt; it will just go and do all this by itself. I think that would be pretty amazing. Okay, so now I've asked for it in order. So it's saying that 10, 45, and 1. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it's totally random. 10 isn't even in the top 10. Yeah, so this is this. Okay, so 1 and 90. Okay, so I mean it's just coming up with totally random numbers. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so I'm not even sure this. I mean, this looks totally incorrect. See, this is the one thing you cannot rely on this completely. You absolutely can't. And you need to double check. You need to double check things. Like this looks completely. This looks correct to me, but then maybe it's the way I've asked the question. So I just need to, we need to be very aware of that. But to me, it was, can you place the top 10 bus routes in order by passenger numbers total? It's missing tons. Yeah, okay. Well, I could spend time trying to figure out why that is, but it's not worth it, I don't think. Okay, so let's do a little bit more, and then I think we'll round off. But I think I've highlighted like a number of pros and a number of, like, I think we're seeing here the big con, right? Is that, the real downside is that, man, it can make a whole lot of stuff up. One of the things that we could do is we could just double check this here and just see, if we weren't too sure how to read the code ourselves, that we could do a little bit of analysis here. So the provided code generated a simulated data set of bus route information. It generated more random data. Wow, it did. Okay, well, there you go. It just made up new numbers. That is totally bizarre behavior. So there you go. This is where it can be quite helpful, right? Is that it went and randomly generated new data. Okay, so I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know. That's weird. It's weird. I didn't ask it to do that. Maybe we got outside the context window of the original data set, but yeah, that's kind of weird. Kind of weird. Yep. I guess that's where this is important, right? Like, still understanding what you can do here versus elsewhere, I think is really, 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 really important, right? It's so interesting. It's so interesting. Like, whenever I am using these new tools and then supplementing it with, supplementing my work inside of Power BI with these new tools, is my workflow around Power BI just has never changed. It's never changed. It's like, create all your core measures here. You can actually, like, if you follow the process of core measures and then follow that up with some measure branching where you create cumulative totals, moving averages, time intelligence, some dynamic grouping techniques like DAX patterns, very quickly you can, within an hour or two, you can create comprehensive reports, and seriously good reports. I've shown this in many videos and also in one of my recent ones. Yeah, it's amazing what you can actually achieve. Okay, I think I'm going to round off there. I think I recorded once and my microphone wasn't working. I've recorded this one again. I think this gives a few good ideas. And look, I'll be showing it more. I'll be showing it more. I want to produce a lot more content going forward around a whole range of things, from more Power BI to a whole range of new analytical techniques you can use, AI tools, AI agents. Have been really researching a lot there. Yeah, a lot of things that I think the new age data analyst or data person can do. Right? I think that data professionals, your value is increasing so much. It's unbelievable. And so, particularly if you're embracing a lot of the new things that you can do and you can achieve. So really keen to showcase that as much as I can. Okay, that's all. Thanks all, and look forward to next time. See you later.